Look down the corridor of almost any modern women's health clinic, and you will hear a familiar narrative. Severe cramps, heavy bleeding, and the cysts associated with PCOD are frequently written off as an inevitable part of womanhood. The standard responses to these issues are typically painkillers or hormonal birth control. These treatments temporarily mask the pain or artificially regulate a cycle, but the underlying system failure causing the symptoms remains unaddressed. This palm leaf manuscript shows a different approach. Over 1,400 years ago, Ayurvedic sages meticulously documented these exact gynecological conditions. They devised a medical framework that identifies specific physiological triggers to resolve reproductive pain at its source. In this ancient system, reproductive pain is never viewed as a random malfunction. It acts as a crucial systemic alarm bell, indicating that the body's internal environment has fallen out of balance. The foundational rule for this system was recorded in the ancient text known as the Ashtanga Hridayam, and it traces almost all reproductive issues back to a single master trigger. In this abstract reproductive network, everything is governed by a master switch called Vata. Without a Vata imbalance, the system cannot corrupt. But modern lifestyles, high stress, and poor diets directly strike this switch, causing the entire network to lose its rhythm. Because this switch controls the entire network, calming Vata is the mandatory prerequisite to healing any specific reproductive disease. To identify exactly how the system failed, Ayurveda uses a diagnostic map based on 3 primary energies, or doshas. Looking at this 3-column diagnostic chart, we start with a Vata-dominant imbalance. Excess Vata brings a dry, erratic energy to the body. This specific environment leads to severe cramping, a feeling of numbness, and periods that are either delayed or scanty. When the imbalance shifts to Pitta, the system is overwhelmed by excess heat and inflammation. This results in heavy menstrual bleeding, burning sensations, and unusually dark blood. Finally, Kapha dominance introduces coldness and stagnation. A sluggish system leads to white discharge, swelling, and the accumulation of fluid-filled cysts directly associated with PCOD. This diagnostic map allows practitioners to treat the specific systemic failure. By using these specifics, it explains why a patient with dry Vata cramps requires a different intervention than one with hot Pitta bleeding. Inside a traditional Ayurvedic apothecary, you won't find generic pain relievers. You find targeted botanicals selected to alter internal chemistry and correct specific dosha imbalances. Take a look at the Ashoka tree. Translating to the remover of sorrow, Ashoka contains documented hemostatic properties. Practitioners use its bark specifically to stop heavy Pitta bleeding and restore tone to the uterus. And in these large sacs of dried raw roots, we find Shatavari. This plant acts as a natural phytoestrogen, helping balance hormones and rebuilding depleted reproductive tissues during irregular cycles or menopause. These herbs are not designed to mask symptoms. They act as biochemical correctives, steadily rebuilding the reproductive system's baseline function from the inside out. Sometimes internal chemistry isn't enough. When dealing with hard physical masses like fibroids or blocked fallopian tubes, Ayurveda introduces a direct physical layer of treatment. This cross-section illustrates a procedure called Uttara Basti, Ayurveda's most targeted gynecological therapy. By administering medicated oils directly into the uterine cavity, practitioners can physically clear blockages and dissolve stagnant tissue. Following this procedure, targeted pelvic yoga poses are prescribed to drive fresh, oxygenated blood flow straight into those newly cleared pathways. Treating complex reproductive diseases requires this dual approach: internal chemical correction to balance the doshas, and targeted physical flushing to remove structural roadblocks. Think of menstruation like this river clearing away dead leaves. Ayurveda views the menstrual cycle as shodan, a vital, natural detoxification process. To function properly, this delicate clearing period must not be interrupted by extreme physical exertion. Protecting this process requires specific dietary shifts. Prioritizing warming, iron-rich foods like dates and sesame seeds supports the blood flow, while strictly avoiding ice-cold water and extreme stress prevents the Vata switch from short-circuiting the system again. It is crucial to establish a medical boundary here. While Ayurveda serves as an effective long-term lifestyle and recovery protocol, acute red flags like sudden massive bleeding or severe debilitating pelvic pain require immediate modern medical intervention. Your reproductive pain is not an inevitable burden. By understanding the ancient systemic language of Ayurveda, we can stop simply silencing the alarm and finally extinguish the fire.